So over the last couple of years, we've really seen the growth of graphite iron shafts, both on the PGA Tour and from regular golfers on all golf courses around the world. But unfortunately, I've never ever had the opportunity to test graphite iron shafts on this channel, either off camera or on camera. So what we're going to do today is, with the help of James, one of the Callaway ambassadors and custom fitters here at Portsmouth Golf Centre, is conduct a little test to see what the pros and cons are of graphite iron shafts and if there's any performance differences for me as an average swing speed mid-handicap golfer. Let's get stuck in. So James, just before we start hitting the shots, this sort of growth of graphite iron shafts, why is it that we're seeing that, and what are maybe some of the pros of going to a graphite shaft, and maybe what are the trade-offs that you might be giving up versus steel?
Yeah, I think graphite shafts have improved massively since they first graphite came about. There's a lot of different versions of graphite now, rather than your sort of standard regular. There's heavier, there's lighter, which can help generally with someone's ball flight. Someone who generally struggles to get the ball in the air to the top of its peak of its flight, you can generally get some more kick points to get you a little bit higher. And
what about any trade-offs? Is there anything, like if a golfer does decide to go to a graphite shaft, is there anything they need to be wary of if they're looking at that or buying off the rack, for example?
I think it's the same as trying out steel shafts, really. There's a dispersion problem if it doesn't suit. Yeah. They could be quite light, and how someone swings it can really determine what shaft you go for.
And is that why, like, I think I'm always on the channel recommending custom fitting with people like yourself, but in a custom fitting, is there anything that you would see when you're sort of baselining some data with a customer at the beginning? Is there anything that would make you think, I might want to have an experiment with some graphite here, or is it maybe customer led as well, or is it a bit of both?
Yeah, it's customer led as well as led by us. I think just seeing how they sort of perform with a steel shaft. It's always a starting point steel generally. Yeah. Generally someone who's a little bit slower swing speeds, generally you might start with graphite. Yeah. But yeah, it's just trial and error really.
And are we seeing, final question, are we seeing any sort of big differences in price points? So as a consumer, is one of them typically a little bit more expensive and cheaper, or is it quite similar?
Yeah, again, that's evolved over time. Some companies now charge extra for graphite, some don't. Yeah. So there's an advantage. The companies who don't charge an upcharge for graphite. Yeah. So it doesn't sort of pigeonhole people into a certain steel shaft because of the price. Yeah. It gives them a broader look at what more shafts they can try.
And ultimately getting the right shaft and the right head combo for you, which is better for the brand because
Correct.
You then have a positive
without
experience.
sort of committing to steel shaft because it's cheaper.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. That's really, really useful. I hope that's some really useful info for you guys as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to build a club. We'll start off with steel. I'll hit a few shots. We'll get some data baseline, and then we'll build that graphite shaft. And as the custom fitter, James can guide us through it and talk us through the data points and what he's seeing different in my hands. So James, we're going to start with the steel shaft then. So we've just built an Apex AI 200, which would be the player's distance iron I would probably game in the Callaway. Put the dynamic gold R300 in it. I think if people have watched the video before this that I did with Lee a couple of weeks ago, what we've actually found out is I might actually need a slightly heavier, stiffer shaft. Yep. But because we want to try and offer a good comparison between the steel and the graphite today, we thought this would just be a sensible starting point for baselining.
Just to start off what you're gaming at the moment, really.
Yeah, really comparable to what I'm gaming. And what you're going to see, like Lee, is that my typical tendency is to be a little bit shallow into the ball, a little bit heavy, a little bit thin. That's kind of what I'm constantly fighting. The mat always makes me look a better golfer than I am because of the fact it gives me that forgiveness.
Okay. 2 in a row.
Yeah, we'll take that. I would say the miss, James, is tendency to be a little bit of a
right
pull.
miss.
Yeah, a bit of a right miss.
Right miss for you, yeah.
I'm hitting this well today.
Yeah, lovely.
Maybe I just need a set of Apex AI 200s, mate.
Good test so far.
Yeah. A little bit clean, skinny on my part.
Yeah, that's still flew pretty well though.
Yeah, it's the beauty of a player's distance iron. I always find, James, I just get away with that slightly thinner strike.
Yeah.
I'm probably
and you're still getting the ball speed as well, even off a low strike there. You still got pretty good ball speed.
Yeah, that's pretty good for me. That's the one where I've left the face a little bit slappy and open.
Yeah. A little bit more of a neutral ball flight though. You can see actually the actual grouping's not too bad, even with a couple of missed strikes on there as well. Right,
James, so we've just changed over to a graphite shaft. Talk to me about why you've picked this version of the graphite shafts.
It's one of the offerings in the AI 200. It's the Record Dart 80 in a stiff flex, this one. So it's probably the closest weight in this shaft we can get to a steel shaft. Yep. There is other offerings which are a little bit heavier potentially, but this is where we're stuck.
Cool. And gone for the stiff flex. A bit like Lee and what we learned from the other video, I think there's probably just a bit of a benefit to me.
I've got the advantage of knowing a little bit more that what happened in the previous video, but we're sort of where you sort of headed in that one. We're sort of head down that route and see what's sort of occurring with the spin numbers and the distance and the swing speed.
Just caught my usual a little bit heavy and a little bit turned over.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel whippy, which is what I was expecting it to be, mate. Like because of that.
Obviously, it's lighter. You might generate a bit more speed. It might come off the face a bit faster, but it's about controlling it.
If I end up hitting this all hooky right because it's a bit too...
Because you get a little shallow and underneath it, the sort of flip to the right for a left-handed golfer is maybe going to be a little bit more enhanced with this one.
Yeah. And then I try and maybe manipulate that and block it a little bit down the left-hand side, which could be a little bit of me, mate. Yeah.
Two-way miss isn't ideal.
No. First couple though, I've got to get used to it, right? I can't judge it after 2 shots when I've had graphite in steel in my hands all my life.
Definitely need more shots, yeah.
A little bit better, just the face a touch open.
Sounded a good strike.
Yeah, a little bit better.
Better all-round, better strike. Again, a bit pulley.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? As soon as I probably add a little bit of speed or feel like I'm adding a bit of speed, I'm getting that right miss, aren't I, with it at the moment?
Yeah, like you say, ball speed jumped up massively on that one.
Because of the pull. Little thin. I think, like, whether, obviously this is probably not going to be the right graphite shaft for me, but there is something in how they feel that would make me want to go, oh, if you could get something that's closer to what I need in terms of weight and flex, I'd be really interested in that, because there's something that feels really nice about it. As soon as I strike it, it just wants to go right, doesn't it? Yeah. As soon as I strike it. Yeah, and you're absolutely right.
It just wants to turn that club face over a little bit, sort of. Again, like you say, you're turning your 7-iron into a 6 or a 5 there based on ball speed. Yeah. Getting the distance out there, but dispersion is very sort of left and right now. Yeah. That's better.
Yeah, a little bit clean, but a bit better.
That one's more in the window of where we were with the steel shaft.
Yeah. Just heavy. Everything wants to go right though, doesn't it?
That's the best one, I think.
Definitely the best one. It's the one where I've just tried to really get through it. But it's going to be interesting. Like, I don't think it's going to be any
again,
better or
similar sort of club head speed, ball speed up again.
Yeah. Right, mate, should we have a little look at this data then and talk the guys through it and see what we're seeing in my hands and how it compares? Done hitting shots, I think the first thing that I can really notice for me, and again, I think we've spoken about the fact that if I was to explore graphite shafts more, I would need to go heavier whilst maintaining that stiff. But the first thing that stood out for me was this dispersion circle, where with the steel, front to back, left to right, pretty good. What we've actually got with the graphite is that short left one and that long right one. And as a custom fitter, I'm sure that's not what you want your golfer to be walking out with. No,
definitely. We're looking for something more where the white circle is there and the white dots of the steel shaft. Dispersion wise, front to back, they were still pretty similar in terms of line. There weren't too many left or right. It was just shorter or longer. But you can obviously see there's a trend there to be short left or long right. If we look at the averages, they're all very similar, but you've got some graphite ones where you turned it over, carry 10 yards more because you sort of de-lofted it a little bit, and then you've obviously got some which are a little bit high left, shorter, which brings your average again sort of back to where the white one is. But I think front to back, and the sort of consistency of the white one in the steel shaft look better for your swing.
I think, guys, James has made a really, really interesting point here. I really just want to make sure we just pause and sort of hammer that home. I'm trying more recently in my videos to not just talk about averages with clubs, but to talk about consistency, standard deviations. And I think this is one of the best examples that I've seen of it so far, which is when me and James look at these averages here, 0.1 mile an hour difference in club head speed, 0.3 mile an hour difference in ball speed, 0.8 yards difference in carry distance, spin rates within 16 revs of each other. You would look at that and go, they're performing exactly the same. But it's only when you go and look at those standard deviations that you actually see in my hands in this test, the steel was so much more consistent for me, wasn't it, James? We can see the front to back of the yardage is 1.9 yards versus 6.5 because of what you've just explained to us. The ball speed was only a mile an hour different from fastest to slowest versus 3.6 in the graphite. Now again, this isn't me sort of saying at the end of this video, don't go and test graphite shafts, because as James and I were saying, if your swing speed's lower than mine, there's definitely going to be an advantage. Or if we were to have the option today to talk about heavier graphite shafts that were in the fitting kit for me today, we probably would have seen some better results. But I think what we're trying to show here is when you're in your custom fittings, don't just look at the averages, look at that standard deviation and the pattern, as well as that dispersion as well, James, right?
Yeah, and there's obviously a difference in that we're talking about heavier as well, which is a more stable option, but potentially there's different profiles of shaft in terms of where it tips stiff, etc., which might be the similar sort of weight, but it just perform a little bit different.
Yeah, definitely. If you were fitting me today, James, and I was like, came in as a customer led and said, really want to test graphite shafts, I've seen some of the guys doing it, I think based on this you'd be steering me back to steel. Yes,
yeah, I think steel is where you're at, but there's no harm in trying these things. At the end of the day, it's best to go through all the options and then sort of make your own mind up and see the point of difference.
The one thing I would say, just a final point, which is, I hope it came across while I was hitting the shots, the feel of the graphite, there was something about the feel of it that I really enjoyed of club and ball together, whether it was just that setup or whatever. And I definitely think, and I maybe read this, I don't know if it's a sort of a subjective thing rather than objective, but there is something about the feel that's really nice, and it would make me understand why you see some of PGA Tour players moving to graphite if they like that sort of feel of it as well. There's something in that. I don't know, James, if you've seen that yourself.
Yeah, it's a very feel-based product really. In terms of graphite, it feels great, but again, you've got to go back to the performance of the product. I think is the be all and end all of it. What feels good for a couple of shots might not be the consistency of all the shots. You hit one really good one there, you said it felt great, but 1 out of 6 or 7 is sort of more proof in the pudding that steel's more stable for you.
Brilliant. Well, hopefully for you guys, really interesting test for me to do. If I'm honest with you, this video was more for my benefit because I wanted to have a play around with graphite shafts. And I definitely think in the future, if there was access to something a bit heavier, I'd like to have another go at it just based on that feel. But yeah, I think one thing I've learned from the 2 videos we filmed today, the one with Lee on stiff versus regular, and what we've just done here, is definitely steel for me is the right way to go, James. Definitely need to go maybe a little bit heavier, a little bit stiffer in my next set of iron shaft. But there's lots of great options in the market, and I think this also just drills home the real importance of a custom fit, mate. Absolutely, yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you so much for watching, guys. If you've got some value out of the video and you'd like to return the favour, it's really simple. All you need to do is hit that thumbs up button. That lets YouTube know that golfers just like you may be interested in watching this video. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, there's a button coming up on screen for you right now. You can press to it and you'll get notified of all my videos as they land on YouTube every single week. Equally, there's a couple of other videos popping up on screen for you right now. You can press that button and watch one of them straight away. Thank you so much for watching. James, thank you so much for your time as well.
No problem.
Have a great day, people. Goodbye.